Hey guys, Coach Logan here again. Looking for another Blitz game. I know I do a lot of these, but they're fun. So let's see if I can find an opponent here. I've managed to get my rating on this account up to close to my all-time high on any of these accounts. I think, or in the past on another account, I actually have hit 24. So let's see if I can do it on this one. All right, I'm playing against a 2267, so I'll maximize the screen. We've got a Sicilian, Kalashnikov. I've actually had a few people play this against me in these videos, so we'll see. All right, now I think I can go knight c3 if he does that. Bishop e2. Let's go bishop e3, and then I think I put this guy on d2. Everything in its right place, like the Radiohead song. Go rook c1. Okay, let's go f3. Just secure up that pawn. He might be going bishop g5 soon. Alright, let's go knight d5. Let's grab space. Okay, let's see here. Alright, I'm going to play queen b3 and target his queen side a little bit. Okay. Alright, here I think I'm actually going to take this pawn, which looks like it gives up my center, but I'm really doing it because I want the e4 square for my knight. Also, if he moves out this diagonal, yeah, then there might have been some tricks along that diagonal with the queen and the knight. Okay, so I think I have to take that. Alright, here, I think I'm going to try to hold on to this pawn, actually. But I gotta think about how I want to do that. Let's actually go bishop to d3. If he plays knight c5, I think I'm gonna play rook takes c5 and then d6. Yeah, okay, he's doing this, so I'm gonna go for that. Yeah, rook takes, d6 is check. Okay, so I have two minor pieces for the rook. Let's try to make them good minor pieces. Oh, okay, wait, I think I was hanging that f5 pawn there. Alright, let's bring the queen into e6. Generally, I think when you have the extra pieces, you should try to keep the queens on the board and go for an attack on the king. But if he gives me this passed e6 pawn, I think that's going to be pretty good too. That said, his pawns are getting a little bit scarier than I would like, so maybe I didn't make the best decision there. Okay, let's... How do we want to do this? Alright, let's go knight c5. We'll defend the pawn. I think, yeah, I think as I was saying, you should keep the queens on the board. I really think I should have kept the queens on the board. But here I think I can go bishop f5 and hit the rook. If he takes my knight, I will take his other rook, his full rook, not just an exchange. Still, he's grabbing the pawn on a2. So he might just be winning here. I really let his pawns get too scary. Do I have any way I can try to slow these? We can play, this is an ugly move, but I can go rook b1 just to try to hold this pawn to slow down his, and then I can try to use my bishop to slow down some of these other ones. I gotta be careful here. Try to bring my king into this. Okay, I'm also really low on time too, so this game is probably not going to go super well for me. Although, can I get king b3 in, attacking his rook? Is he going to do an exchange here? Okay, let's bring the king out to attack that pawn. Okay, we'll take this one. Am I gonna miraculously hold this here? I might actually be able to hold the draw out of this absolute. Oh, actually, no, this should just be a draw because he has the wrong. I have the wrong colored bishop. All right, so he's gonna take. This is a draw. Okay. It's just a rook pawn. Okay, we'll get the draw there. Okay. Not the best game on my part, especially given that I'm pretty sure I was just winning that. Really poor technique on my part in a good position, which is frustrating, but what are you going to do? All right, let's go to self-analysis, show lines. So I felt pretty confident in my position up through here, rook c1, f3 just securing my e-pawn, knight to d5 seemed reasonable, f5. I went queen b3. Maybe, okay, so I think they wanted me to just take this pawn right now and try to get that e4 square, queen b3. Here they're saying he should have played f4 to keep things closed, and then if something like bishop f2, then knight c5 does look pretty good. Note that it's not advisable for me to go pawn grabbing here because black's compensation will be pretty strong. Although there's not an immediate win. They're pointing out, what do they want? They want bishop h4. Why? Are they trying to get rook f7? I don't really understand that. See, they're changing their mind on that. Maybe it's not so clear, actually. Bishop d6. I don't like white's weak dark squares, but is there a reason they can't get their queen out? Does knight d4 hurt? Let's see. Is knight d4 a problem? Queen d1. Maybe it's just like long-term positional compensation for the pawn. Anyway, he played rook b8, which was definitely passive. That's when I found e takes f5. So he went bishop takes d5. Yeah, and I went bishop d3, defending my f5 pawn. He went rook c5, or knight c5, which was just a blunder. And I caught the blunder. I found d6 check. All of the stuff I needed to. And then here, knight e4. Queen e6 was just bad. I let his pawns get way too dangerous. So they wanted, maybe also knight e4 was a little bit hasty. I'm wondering if I could have thrown something just to slow these pawns down. Would a4 have made sense here? Okay, that allows queen e3 check. Let's say king h1. Oh, no, I can't do that. Sorry, the knight is hanging, so I'd have to play rook f2. Okay, I don't want that either. Maybe the bishop belonged on e4. The knight kind of seems like a more natural square for the knight, but once he got b5, I was really concerned about c4, just totally making my bishop useless. Now, if he does this, I can sort of work around the pawns, queen d5 and whatnot. Knight e4, b5. They want engine wants queen a3, pitting this pawn to the queen. But it's not so clear. Queen e6, yeah, and here you just see his pawns get very, very menacing. c4, bishop b1. Here I took that, which was ill-advised. Well, he could have played d3 right away. Instead he did this. So here they think that I'm surviving. I went rook b1, okay, so that was one of the top moves. g5, bishop f5. Oh, wait, bishop to d7 would attack this pawn right away. And I think a point is if I can start forcing these pawns onto the wrong column. Well, actually, here I'm just winning a pawn with bishop e6. This is pinned, and they can't move because of the rook. And if they has to play something like rook a5, that's a good sign that I'm sort of beating back the tide. b4, that's another nice move. Okay, because now he can't move the rook or he'll hang this pawn, and if he takes, this just breaks up the entirety of his pawns, and I'm starting to chop them down one by one. You know, b5 will fall next, then the d pawn, so that would just be winning. I didn't find that. Instead, I just played much more kind of like one-dimensionally, just walking my king over. Still, though, this seems like it should have been sufficient. I should have found king d3, it's saying, and then C takes B2, king takes D4, and the bishop is really defending the queening square. So this actually should have been winning too, even despite my maybe not playing the most decisively. This still should have been good for me. What did I do here? Bishop takes D3 takes. Okay, yeah. So this was a draw here. This is just a draw. Yeah, and this, I'd point out, this is a draw because my rook pawn is the wrong color here. So let's say somehow I can miraculously win this pawn and somehow keep this pawn. So let's say like black just goes totally brain dead here and just this is not what happened in the game, but I think this is instructive. Say they play something like king to h4, and now after king e5, okay, they could still win this pawn by just going king h3, but again, I'm trying to prove a point here. So let's say, actually, this would not be the best way to prove it, because then I'll get behind it. Let's say instead, let's go king e6. I'm trying to find a way to prove this point, but say he tucks his king in the corner, something like this, and allows me to win this pawn. Like, clearly black would have to make a lot of bad moves for that to happen, but just to really show how drawn this is, white can still not promote his pawn here. Black can just push the king to the corner, and you can't kick him out because you don't have a bishop that can go on dark squares, or any piece for that matter. So, like, for instance, if you play bishop c4, this is just stalemate. You can try to rush the pawn, but he just camps out in the corner, and there's just simply no way to kick him out. You can try, but his king just hangs out here, and if you ever try to take away g8 from him, it's stalemate. So, interesting game. I had my chances for sure. I did not successfully capitalize on them, but maybe next time.